He's his country's youngest leader and now for 6 months, at least on paper, Europe's. As Austrian Chancellor since last December, Sebastian Kurz has governed in a coalition with the far right, and increasingly his policies have reflected that.
Austria's goal is to stop the tide of illegal immigration, the refugee and migrant influx into Europe. We have always stuck to our position and will use the EU presidency to work on a sound European solution. That can only be achieved if the protection of our external borders works. We have to be the ones who decide who come into Europe, not the people smugglers.
Kurz says he sees his country's role as a bridge between East and West, which is why he's been making overtures to the countries of what's called the Visegrad Group, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland and Slovakia, who some in Brussels consider to be in the EU's awkward squad. They don't share the desire for an ever deeper union and don't want to accept more migrants or refugees trying to cross the Mediterranean.
Everybody jumps into the water, our people catch them, bring them out, fish them out of the water, and automatically they're basically ferried into the European Union. I don't believe this is a complex border defence. It's extremely important that we define what happens with those who are trying to cross seas illegally into the European Union.
There is another border that is important to ministers in Vienna. This is the Salzburg River, a natural frontier dividing Austria and Germany from each other. But in recent times, the government of Sebastian Kurz has been reaching across this river to try to establish good relations with the government in Bavaria, and it's specifically regarding immigration and border controls. Because ministers in Munich and Vienna want to see much more of this: police checking people crossing their shared frontier. A technical but apparently temporary breach of the EU's Schengen open borders deal. But while this is clearly what Kurz is seeking, his counterpart in Berlin, Angela Merkel, has resisted the widespread return of such controls, insisting that Schengen is a vital plank of EU policy. Away from the issue of migration, another problem the Austrians will face is the pressing question of how to deal with the EU's budget. Which means that as Mr. Kurz takes his seat around the EU table, he will face lots of questions which may not have easy answers. Dominic, Kane, Al Jazeera, Oberndorf bei Salzburg.